When you try to change the things around you or the people around you, you immediately put yourself in resistance. You immediately aren't open to receiving everything that you want to receive. But when you try to, or you do, you don't just try, you do, change yourself, that's when the magic happens. Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Lorena. I am a self-concept coach, guide, mentor, and I'm here to help you change your state of being, change your self-concept, embody your highest potential, step into your future self now, and align with your most authentic soul desires so you can manifest them into your world and make them a physical, tangible reality. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. It supports it grow and helps more people find these videos, and it also ensures that you don't miss any future videos. And I upload videos every week, so you don't want to miss any of them. And if you do like this video, please leave a like as well. It helps the algorithm, the world we live in. And feel free to leave a comment with any reflections, insights, light bulb moments that you have. I love reading them and I love hearing from you and connecting with you. If you love what I do, this resonates in your being, and you want to dive deeper with me, you want to work with me, I do offer coaching. I have a signature coaching program, a very intimate container where we dive really deeply into changing your self-concept so you can show up differently in the world and call in everything you desire. So we're really going to shift your identity through a process of shadow integration, subconscious reprogramming, vision creation, embodiment, stepping into self-worth, authenticity, peeling off all these layers that you don't need and becoming the most aligned, the most authentic, and the most embodied version of yourself so that you become a match to all of the things that you desire. That's what we're going to do in my coaching program, Recreate Yourself. So if you want to join that, check out the information linked below. If you have any questions about anything at all, or you just want to come say hi, then please send me a message on Instagram, because I do love connecting with you. I do love hearing from you. I personally operate better when it's a two-way street and it's not just me talking at you. That's why I'm a coach and not a content creator or an influencer. That's some people's thing. It's not mine. But today, let's talk about the video topics, right? We're going to talk about your self-concept and the connection to your manifestation, which I'm sure if you've been here before, you hear me talk about all the time. But specifically, we're going to talk about why you should not try to change others or the circumstances around you or your reality. And instead, we're also going to cover how to change your self-concept and how to therefore manifest with ease, with actual ease. So to kind of give an introduction to this, I want to share a bit about my personal story. This is particularly interesting for you if you're new here, or you maybe haven't heard this story before, or you haven't heard it in a while. But this is really the core of why I do what I do, and that all comes down to your self-concept. So when I began my journey, and I'm sure many of you will resonate with this, I very much came from a place of desiring to change what was happening around me. I was, in the beginning, pretty unfulfilled, I have to admit. I was craving love. I was craving depth in my relationships. I wanted to be fully loved and seen and heard and understood for who I really am. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to feel abundant. I wanted to feel free. And I believed that all of these things would come through specific circumstances. I was manifesting a relationship. I was manifesting more success in my career. I was manifesting more money. My circumstances at that time were very different from what they are now. And I just really wanted change. So I found conscious manifestation, and I found mindset work, and I was like blown away, and I started applying everything I learned, and I studied Neville Goddard's work specifically for many years. And it had a huge impact on me because I would try it out. I would do the thing where you visualize at night and you fall asleep in that state, and I would meditate on things and I would say affirmations and I would do all these techniques, and some things would shift. Some things would happen in my life and I was like, oh my God, this is literally a magic trick. This is amazing. And over time, things stopped working. The things that I really deeply wanted didn't come in, or didn't come in the right way. And even when they came in, why did I not feel differently? So I started coming up against the concept of what I thought my reality would bring me and then what it was really like. And I actually got unhappier. I got more unfulfilled. I got more conscious, but I got more unfulfilled because all of a sudden I was more anxious. I was overthinking everything. I didn't really know how to trust the process. I didn't really know how to surrender deeply. I was in so much resistance and so much fear. I was just telling myself that I wasn't. So through all this, I started diving into healing work. I hired a few coaches in different areas. I did a few trainings. I really went within, and through their guidance and their support, I really integrated some deep shadows, and I essentially transformed into someone else. And I realized this is where the magic lies. It's not all of these external things, it's who I am becoming. And so from there on, I developed my own method, which kind of brought together everything that I ever learned, integrated and embodied, which is what I teach in my coaching, by the way. But that method is really comprehensive and holistic and emotionally integrated, where there's no emotional denial, there's no focus on only one part, like not just embodiment, not just mindset, not just the spiritual, not just the action taking. It's a really comprehensive combination of everything, and it has changed my life because I have changed. I have transformed my self-concept, and I continue to do so. Over and over and over again, I step into new identities, and it's so natural by now, and my reality has shifted through it so much. And I'm proud of it, and I'm so happy and grateful that I can bring this to the world. And that is why I have taken the focus, not completely, of course, but somewhat off manifestation as such. It's always a side effect, but the focus is really about you. So this is kind of the foundation for this video. Have that in the back of your head whilst I tell you the rest. Because the biggest lesson that I have learned, and I'm sure many of you watching this have learned this too, is to focus on the internal and not the external. It is so valid to want things. It is so valid to desire things deeply. And when you try to change what is, when you try to change the circumstances, the external around you, it backfires. It backfires because you haven't changed. You haven't actually aligned with that external change that you desire to create. You need to go within and look at the stuff inside, what your belief systems are, what your patterns are, what your behaviors are, where you're acting from a limited or outdated belief system or outdated identity, where you are acting from a version of yourself that somebody else told you you were, or that you thought you were, when maybe there's more behind that. Maybe there's more behind the shell. Many people come into this trying to mold the external into what they want it to be because they think it's going to give them a certain feeling or a certain sense of fulfillment. And it often does for a second. And once that second has passed, the chase goes on. We're looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and we're never fully happy and fulfilled within ourselves. Instead of looking outside of yourself and trying to mold that into something else, trying to change that into something else, change yourself, not who you are at the root, not your soul, not your being, but who you think you are. The programming that you're holding on to, the conditioning you're holding on to, which we do very unconsciously. Most people think they have better beliefs than they really do. You will constantly catch yourself with the limited thinking that you have because it's unconscious, because it's subconscious. By very definition, it's not conscious. It's supposed to be that way. But that is where the shifts happen. And when these shifts happen, when you step into a new version of yourself and you become who you desire to be, who you're meant to be, that's when you align with that reality. And when you align with that reality, it has no other choice than to come to fruition, because you're perceiving things differently, you're showing up differently, you're acting differently, and your reality and your circumstances will reflect that. Now, there are 3 things that happen when you try to change other people or your external reality. Apart from the fact that it does not work, because it puts you in resistance, it puts you more into that reality because it puts the focus on the problem, and it actually keeps you trapped there more than anything. When you do that, you're also massively giving your power away. There is so much power within you. You literally get to create your entire life. Nothing is left to chance. You get to choose who you want to be, and you get to choose the life that you want to experience, and you get to create that. You really get to do that. But when you put the focus outside of yourself and you try to change other people, or you try to change things that are happening, circumstances that cannot be controlled, and you try to control them, you're giving your power away to those people, to those circumstances, and then you are not in charge of your life, and you are not in charge of your reality. You are letting other people and other things define what your reality is like and define how you get to feel. You're not choosing how you feel in that moment. You're not choosing who you want to be in that moment, and you're not choosing your reality in that moment either. The second thing that happens is something that I touched on earlier. You are then in a continuous cycle of trying to reach a goal that you'll either never reach because you keep yourself stuck through trying to reach it, or the goalpost will be moving because you reach it and then you've got this instant gratification and then you feel good for a moment and then it moves. Then you're like, okay, what's next? Let me get the next thing. You'll never be satisfied. You'll always be in an energy of chasing, and you'll never be like, I have arrived. This is it. I am experiencing it already. And the third thing goes hand in hand with giving your power away. You are, consciously or unconsciously, then diminishing your own worth. You're not loving yourself. It's not self-loving to try and change somebody else. Let's say the example, you experience hot and cold behavior either from romantic partners or from platonic relationships, doesn't matter, but you have people who sometimes treat you that way, sometimes treat you another way. Well, if you are experiencing that and you let yourself experience that and you try to change that and you try to change that person, what you're essentially subconsciously saying is that I deserve to be treated that way. I deserve to be treated hot and cold. That's not to say people treating you badly is your fault, but it is to say there's a part of you that's allowing it in. So why are you allowing it in? Would you allow that in if you loved yourself, if you felt worthy of what it truly is that you want? No, you would show up completely differently. So where is that version of yourself that shows up differently? When it comes to how to actually shift your identity and how to change your self-concept, I do have a pretty old video, which is all about your self-concept, which I believe is still the most popular video on my channel. So you can have a look at that. I am not going to do that because it's going to make me cringe. But that is essentially what I teach as well. So if you ever go to any of my master classes, or if you join Recreate Yourself, or you have joined Recreate Yourself, if you have, say hi. Say hi in the comments. That's where I teach a 6-phase method and process for changing your self-concept, because it's not as simple as just deciding. That's an element, right? There is an element of repetition. There's an element of persistence, but that is really the last step. It's not a surface level thing where you just focus on being a different version of yourself. We first need to get to the root of things, but that will actually transform your life. And I teased a little bit in the title of this video. It's a bit clickbaity, isn't it? It's not clickbait, because you do manifest, when you change your self-concept, you do manifest with much more ease and much less effort. And that's not to say it's never going to be hard. That's not to say it's never going to take time. Quite the opposite. It's probably going to be these things. But the process is going to be so embedded in you that it's just naturally what you do. And on top of that, the process gets faster and faster. I spoke about this, I think, last week in the video when we spoke about quantum leaping and quantum jumping, where the first time I went through this process of shifting my identity, well, for me, it took much, much longer because I didn't have this process. I first needed to create it, and I created it through my experience and through the things I learned through my experience. And then when I did create it, it started accelerating. And every time I still go through this process all of the time, when I want to step into a new identity or I want to manifest anything, it gets faster and faster. And I'm not saying this from the perspective of get your manifestation really fast. It happens faster naturally, not because you're trying to get it faster. So changing your self-concept, bringing the focus to that, and doing the right work to that, and doing the right things to achieve that, and maybe getting support to have things reflected back to you, to have the space be held whilst you're going through this, and to have the tools and the practices and the strategy and the container to hold that process for you. That's when you get to shift your identity, and that's when your reality will shift automatically. And even when it doesn't, you come from it from such a place of deep surrender and trust, and it changes your life. It really does change your life. I cannot emphasize this enough. So alignment, integration, and embodiment are key for changing your self-concept and for ultimately manifesting what you want to manifest. Because from a place of alignment, integration, and embodiment, you're in a place of wholeness, and that place of wholeness accelerates things for you. It really does. When you shift your identity, you shift your reality, because your reality does not need changing. When you show up to it differently, you don't even need to try. When I speak to my clients, one of the key things that they all say is, one day I was just different. One day I just looked back and I was like, I'm a different woman from who I was back then. And it happened not overnight, although it can feel that way. It happened through these subtle changes that really integrated in their being, and then their reality changed. They started receiving these synchronicities and opportunities, and the desires came through because they changed their self-concepts. They changed themselves. They did not have to do anything. So do not try to change what's happening around you. Don't try to change other people. Bring the focus inward. And let me know in the comments, describe in the comments actually, the woman you desire to show up as. What is she like? Describe it to me in the comments, and I will see you in next week's video.